Hello, in this video I want to show you how to load data from an Excel file into SQLite database, and also the reverse, how to export data from SQLite to an Excel file. Why do we want to do it? Well, sometimes it's easier to use SQL for data analysis rather than Excel, but we do need to be able to move data quickly between Excel and SQLite. We'll be using Python. I'm using the Anaconda distribution of Python. We also need the Pandas library. This is included in Anaconda, else you need to install it separately. For SQLite, I'm using an open source program, DB Browser for SQLite, to display the information in SQLite. Although this was recorded on Linux PC, the exact same method and the programs will work on Windows and Mac OS as well. Before we delve into the code, let's do a quick demo. We've got a SQLite file and we've got an Excel file that we want to load into our SQLite file. Let's have a look at the Excel file. Got 3 columns, and the top row will be used to determine the field names when we load the table in SQLite. Let's run the Python program, which is just down here. We execute it. Let's go and have a look in DB Browser to display what is in SQLite. And there's the data, exactly as in the Excel file. Just to confirm that that was the data, let's make a change to our Excel file. And we change the text. Save it, and we rerun our Python program. Go back to SQLite, refresh, and there's the new data in SQLite. Let's delve into the program. I like to specify the file names in the absolute path. The format is slightly different between Windows and Linux. In this case, I'm using Linux, so I'm going to delete the first 3 lines. So this is where the database is saved. This is the file that I want to import. And after I've loaded the file in SQLite, this is what the table needs to be called. So step 1, the program will, in this single line, read the Excel file and keep the data in a Python data frame. It will then open up the connection to the database, save the data. If the table already exists, it will replace it. It is also possible to amend the data or to error at this point, and then we close the connection. In this example, let's read the same file in, but we read it into a separate table. Let's call it Mara2. So we execute it again. So in this case, there should be 2 tables, one called Mara from the previous run and Mara2. So we refresh, and there's Mara2, second table. It looks exactly the same. How do we export data from SQLite into an Excel file? It's really the reverse process of the previous. So again, you specify the database. What is the file that you want to save the data to? The SQL statement that you want to run to select the data. So in this case, we may want to add some calculations to it. So if we go over to SQLite, the result of this SQL statement is what needs to be in the Excel file. We connect to the SQLite file, we run the query, we take the data, and we write it out to Excel in a single line. Let's execute that. And the file will be called Mara_out. There is Mara_out. Let's open it up. And there's the data that was loaded from SQLite into Excel. In some cases, so this format is quite simple. In some cases, we may want to have slightly more complex formatting. For instance, we may want to have colors at the top, some fields bold, maybe when it saves it must zoom. We want the column width to be wider, filters added, quite a complex report. That can also be done in Excel, but it's a little bit more complex than just writing it out in one line. I've got an example here to illustrate this. So again, this is the SQL that we want to use. We load the data from SQLite, but in this case, to generate the Excel file, there's a bit more to it. We can have some complex formatting. We can have different text in the file. When we write it out, the column width can be broader. In this case, I set column B to 50. We may want to zoom in, and then we want to save it. Also possible to create multiple worksheets. So let's run this code. And in this case, the file will be saved in Mara underscore or Mara Snazzy. There's the file. Let's open it up. You can see the formatting looks slightly more different. There's one sheet with the name summary, and the zoom is set at 200. Thank you for watching. The code used in this demo is in the description, link in the description. Thank you.